Up next, there we go, we have Rebeka Stafford.
There you go, Rebeka.
Thank you. Okay. So, necessity is the mother of innovation. So I'm going to talk about what's happened with the economic downturn. I didn't know I had 18 seconds for this slide.
If I have to hit the second slide, it stays there the whole time.
Got it.
You just have to count in your head every 18 seconds to change your point. There we go.
Okay, so what did the legal industry look like before the Great Recession? We had unprecedented growth. So in the 10 years between 96 and 2006, at the top 100 firms, revenue tripled, while headcount and profits per partner doubled. The cost of legal fees were exorbitant. The law firm rates increased at an average of 6 to 8 a year versus inflation rates of 2 to 3%. There were extravagant first-year salaries. I actually got 2 raises between when my summer associateship ended and when I actually started. And there was, at the same time, real unhappiness among associates. On the client end, there was low leverage. It was a seller's market, and while there are alternative models, they were only gaining momentum slowly. So, in essence, aside from the wealthy partners, no one in the whole exchange was particularly happy. Then finally came the crash. That exacerbated trends, such as alternative fees, that were slowly gaining momentum. So there were all of a sudden really strong cost pressures on firms. There was a backlash on associate pay, lockstep compensation, leverage and attorney training, and there was all of a sudden a spotlight on new model firms. Law firms were hit in a way they had never been before. There were massive layoffs, over 15,000 people in a 2-year period. There were dissolution of law firms, including Heller Ehrman. Deferred hiring became commonplace. And finally, there was an emergence of alternative fee arrangements within firms. Meanwhile, in-house law departments' budgets were slashed. They had to shift more work in-house, demand discounts, explore alternatives, and transition to smaller mid-sized firms. So ironically, after years of efforts of converging, 65% of Chicago area GCs surveyed stated a 2010 cost savings goal to come from migrating work from big firms to small and medium firms. So where are we now? Well, it's a buyer's market. And what are clients looking for? They're looking for value, predictability, and trust. But there are big challenges to these goals, even in this type of market. The billable hour is still king. The billable hour misaligns client and firm incentives. So firm incentives are to have rates that are inflated to train associates, and they're also ranked based on profits per partners. Conversely, clients have 2 different incentives. They want cost predictability and they want efficiency. So while the traditional billable hour creates predictability challenges, so do alternative fee arrangements. So current alternative fee arrangements rarely accomplish predictability because of the numerous caveats. For example, when you go over a certain number of hours, you all of a sudden have pricing increase or success fee models. If it's successful, you can charge actually an extra on that end. So it's not just litigation, it's in all types of budgeting. There's also still a general lack of trust. So now law firms think clients are expecting too few hours and demanding prices that are too low, while clients feel that law firms are still charging too much and billing too many hours. So really there needs to be a readjustment, and this needs to be a partnership. So clients and firms both have to share the risk. And regardless of the challenges, change is upon us, and those who adapt are those who will survive. So the meat and bones of this type of change comes from realigning a system that got really out of whack. So true value and cost savings. 18 seconds there. True value and cost savings comes from aligning the correct service provider to the legal demand. So we've broken down corporate legal services broadly into 3 imperfect categories that we call exceptional events, experience, and efficiency. So the top bucket is exceptional events. These are high-risk, highly complex types of deals. So, for example, public company M&A, bet the company litigation, BigIP work. So this is the type of work that warrants the cost and the infrastructure of a traditional firm, which will charge rates anywhere from $400 to $1,200 an hour. The second bucket we have would be the experience work. And sorry for the typo on that. It's exceptional. Second bucket is experience work, sophisticated legal work that fuels the day-to-day running of a business. So that's the work that's typically handled in-house, such as commercial contracts, labor and employment, real estate, the day-to-day to keep the business going. Now that's either handled in-house or it's handled by regional firms at a rate of $125 to $350 an hour. The final bucket's efficiency. It's low risk, low complexity work, form contract, stock review, and this is the realm of temp firms, LPOs, paralegals at $25 to $100 an hour. So what we saw happen was during the years of a traditional law firm reign, much experience and efficiency work started going to outside counsel at the ridiculous rates that they were charging for the exceptional type of work. But if you reallocate that work between categories, you yield change efficiency that typically saves clients up to 40%. So now we're seeing the traditional experience and efficiency service models reclaiming the work that had been going up to the exceptional buckets. So what does this mean? It means there's a permanent home for alternative models, and there's a new view of the law model firm. Now, what are alternative models doing to provide this service and lower the cost? Well, they're eliminating overhead, translating cost to clients, providing flexibility and expertise of law firms, but unencumbered by the law firm model, and they're eliminating partners in some cases. The traditional firms are also making changes. What they're doing is they're moving from a pyramid organizational model, where there were a few partners, tons of associates, to more of a diamond model. So you're heavy with the senior associates and the junior associates, and they're eliminating lockstep compensation. They're providing new training alternatives for associates so they can keep the huge salaries down. They're globalizing, and they're finally accepting alternative fees. So the recession pushed the fast-forward button on an industry traditionally resistant to change. So 5 years in the future, there's going to be a more diversified legal service world. There's still going to be traditional firms that are operating profitably, but they'll be fewer and farther between, and they'll be complemented by alternative models that are here to stay.